Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're jumping down into the world of Cardano to talk a little bit around, the hard fork, what's going to potentially happen at the end of the month, what the price action's looking like, and what I expect my long-term kind of price prediction to be here for Cardano's ADA. So as I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now, if you have not yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check that out? And also, whilst you're in the description down below, you'll also find links to the new Cheeky podcast. This is a community-led podcast, basically keeping everyone up to date with the ins and the outs of crypto on their daily commutes to the office. It's available here on YouTube. It's available on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music as well. So why not check that out? And I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there as well. Okay, now with all that said, let's get into the main event. Let's actually jump on down into the desktop here, and we're going to take a look at, first of all, the hard fork, and then we'll jump into the price action afterwards. Okay, so to start with, Cardano is approaching the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 hard fork, the upgrade, and here's kind of what to expect. Now, this is a really long blog post from 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗘𝗧𝗏, or IOG now, as Input Output Global. For the most part, most of this you should be familiar with by now. If you've been keeping up to date with Cardano, the ins and the outs of everything, you'll be familiar with 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗪𝗏, 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗪32, and 𝗖𝗢𝗢𝗪33. Essentially, this is really just about scalability of the chain, okay? So there's lots of different things to kind of really review. I'm trying to try to keep this as brief as possible. So it's a little bit about 𝗕𝗲𝗀. So as well as bringing the improvements to smart contracts, the upgrade is part of the 𝗕𝗲𝗀 phase of Cardano's roadmap, which focuses on scaling and network and ledger optimization, and will bring multiple improvements to the ledger. 𝗕𝗲𝗀 will be deployed at the protocol level using Cardano's hard fork combinator. This is HFC. Innovative technology which enacts seamless protocol transactions or transitions and ledger upgrades, minimizing disruption for the end users. Okay, the upgrade, named in honor of the late Vasil St. Dabuv, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, a Cardano ambassador who sadly passed away in 2021, will basically implement widely anticipated features such as diffusion pipelining and upgrades to Plutus, Cardano's core smart contract language. Many of the improvements that have been scoped and developed with the support of the wider development community and stem from Cardano Improvement Protocols, the CIPs, obviously DESNAT we mentioned earlier. So, additionally, a number of new cryptographic primitives will be provided, and script validation processes will basically further see adjustments and optimizations contributing to the consistency in block propagation times and higher transaction processing rates. So a lot of that, it might be a little over the heads of many. Some of you will understand exactly what's going on there. Essentially, we're talking about scalability. We're talking about the speed of the network and the security of the network along with the scalability, okay? So essentially, it's actually, really, really cool stuff. Essentially, we could, of course, go into the details of the Plutus scripting, CIP31, 32, and 33, but we've been through that previously on the channel. Obviously got 42 as well. There's a host of things that are probably worth noting, and CIP40 as well. So check out the other kind of Cardano videos that we've done in the past. I don't want to kind of spend too much time talking about what a lot of people should already know, considering we are so far down the pipeline for this particular upgrade, okay? Now, obviously, if I come back into what was actually communicated last month, was basically that there was a need to delay the implementation of this hard fork, because originally it was supposed to go live in June. However, a lot of the exchanges needed more time to implement this. There were a couple of bugs that were also kind of wanting to kind of see them kind of play out, get them ironed out, and make sure that everything runs smoothly. This is one of the things that I really do like about Cardano. They are not just rushing a product to market. They're taking the time to actually make sure that when they do launch, everything is seamless and it works as intended. Okay, so essentially this particular blog post is basically just giving a brief update on the current state. This was from June 20th, and basically they were looking for another kind of 3 to 4 weeks delay. Okay, so the original kind of date that was floating around was the 29th of July as the date for this particular upgrade to actually get implemented on the mainnet. Okay, it did go live on the testnet, and they've been working through a few things, and obviously this gives a lot more time for the exchanges to also implement the Cardano upgrade as well. Okay, so obviously it's quite a big task to kind of undergo such a thing like this, specifically when you're one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the world. Obviously you have to consider that there's going to be a lot of a lot of things and moving parts that we have to kind of consider before you can actually implement something. So it's quite a complex model. If we actually just jump on over here, Cardano is currently ranked 8th at $16.5 billion. Okay, so yeah, it's not a small beast by any stretch of the imagination, and what they're trying to do here is very, very important for the future of Cardano. Okay, so looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be, something that is going to do incredibly well. I mean, they're talking about, just an extra 4 weeks to basically finish the integrations and upgrades. Okay, and it's basically to give the exchanges that extra time. Okay, so they're aiming to achieve 80% exchange compliance by liquidity before the mainnet fork goes live. Okay, so that's kind of what they're targeting. I don't know how far down that road they are. Are they 70%? Are they 75%? Are they even anywhere near that 80% compliance just yet in terms of liquidity? So important things to happen here for Cardano. Now, obviously, before we kind of get on to the price action from an Elliott wave theory and the charting side that I normally do on the channel, I think it's important that we also acknowledge that we do have some fear also seeping into the market from Cointelegraph. This isn't uncommon. There's definitely a lot of love lost, I guess, between Cardano and Cointelegraph. You usually see a lot more negative articles for Cardano from Cointelegraph than you see positive. But that's just me when I'm looking at it, but let me know what your thoughts are on that. But essentially this particular article that came out 2 days ago is basically, it's a sell the news event, right? So basically, obviously the Cardano upgrade, historically speaking, has seen a lot of negative price action when it actually happens. You see a lot of the pricing getting priced in ahead of time, so people kind of buy in anticipation of the upgrade, and then when the upgrade happens, you see the reversal in trend. Now, essentially, every time that Cardano has had one of these hard fork events, it has been timed, or the timing of it has been rather bad, as in we've always seen a downturn in the general market, and where we are right now is no exception. Although the hard fork combinator event is due to go live towards the end of this month, we are also looking forward to a potential pullback in the market. And now I don't think that we can really say it's a sell the news event for Cardano. Okay, the entire market is looking for a correction, in my opinion, and Cardano's hard fork might just fall in line with that, meaning that there is still this narrative of sell the news. I don't think this is really true. It's not an accurate representation of what's going on. It's just the way that the market is actually moving. Okay, so I wouldn't want to call it a sell the news event. I think actually it's just been awful timing with these hard fork combinator events that the actual market, the entire market, not just Cardano, also turns a bit bearish at that time. So yeah, I'm not really going to give this too much credence here. Essentially, we are talking about a lot of kind of, I guess, technical analysis that I don't generally use, such as EMAs or SMAs and MAs, and anything that's an average generally is not exactly going to give us a good kind of understanding as to what is going on. But with that being said, we'll now jump down into the charts for Cardano. So let me bring this up and make it a little bit bigger, and we'll talk about what's actually going on here from an Elliott wave theory perspective. Okay, so for those who are unfamiliar, Elliott wave theory is basically tracking the psychology of people who are actively participating in the cryptocurrency. So we're taking a look at Cardano, and when we apply Elliott wave theory, we're basically analyzing people's behavior for Cardano. Okay, now essentially what we're doing is we are going to be using a set of principles that Elliott wave came up with, okay, and we're applying some Fibonacci based numbers along with those wave structures. Okay, so we talk about corrective structures. These are 3 wave moves. Let me go ahead and just pull this up here for a second. So corrective structures are 3 wave moves. Trend based structures are 5 wave moves. Okay, now sometimes you might find that there is a corrective structure that includes a 5 wave structure. Okay, it's still corrective on the macro, but you have this kind of mini kind of bullish moment, okay? And that's kind of where we've seen a lot of things at the moment, such as Ethereum, okay? So when we bring this up into our daily, there's a few things that are kind of worth noting here. The first off, if I actually bring it to an 8 hour, we can see a little bit more of the detail here. We have our double bottom, okay? So good support was found at 40.19 cent, okay? So we know that there's a double bottom. This double bottom is a pattern that is often referred to as a bullish signal. We double tap this as a confirmation of support, and then we moved on up. We also have a double top at here at 54.72. This being a bearish signal. Again, you found resistance and you've tapped this area twice, so we get rejected from it. Okay, so essentially what we're really looking at here is a kind of continued motion to the downside. We failed to go up higher than 68.93, so we know that we haven't gone up higher than our X wave here, and essentially all we're doing is moving on down towards our lower targets. Now, for Cardano, as I said, we are looking for a more bearish kind of scenario within the next week or so, and this could be falling in line with our hard fork combinator event, meaning that there is a sell the news scenario, if you really want to call it that. But essentially the entire market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of them will be reversing and coming down into a nice healthy correction. Okay, so for Cardano, I've got a couple of really key target areas. I don't think that our area of support at 40.19 is going to support and hold for the third time. Okay, now one of the things that we've seen and a lot of people kind of speaking about, I might actually just have to remove a couple of things here. Let me remove the Gaussian channel off. Let me see if I can find our EMA indicators. Let me find EMAs. Let's throw those on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here and just remove the 20 and the 200 to look at the 50 EMA. We'll throw it onto the daily here, okay? And basically you can see here that if we were able to stay above this area, and a couple of days ago you can see exactly that's what they were hoping for, staying above that zone. Now we're getting rejected from here, as we have done for quite some time. Since we broke it, you kind of just move on down. Now I don't like moving averages because they are not exactly inclusive of actually giving us forward-thinking movement. But I know a lot of people are referring to this moment as a potential area for, you know, a reason to rally on up or a reason to kind of pull on down. Now, essentially, from an EMA point of view, you might think that's really good and that gives us a good understanding as to what is going on. I don't like averages because they're just showing you what's already happened and then basically just drawing that over either a 50-day period or whatever. And it doesn't really show you an idea of what is going on. Whereas when we jump down into like an hourly chart here and we show you Elliott wave theory, what we're doing is we're tracking what people are likely to do next based on what they've already done. Okay, and Elliott wave theory is able to predict out more accurately what people are going to do based on their existing behavior. Okay, so when we start taking a look at this structure here of all of these movements, we can acknowledge, of course, that we've pulled back down in a pretty decent kind of move here. This is a three-wave structure, so I'm just going to grab this. It's actually a zigzag pattern, which is an ABC structure. So here, here, and here. Okay, this got us to our double bottom over this side. Okay, and then we start to move on up. Now, what's not overly clear here is what else is actually going on inside this structure, okay? Because it's possible that this is just a wave one, we pull back down, then we move back up again in another three-wave corrective structure. As I said, three waves are corrective. And it's also possible that we start to really break down, okay? And all we're really witnessing here is some kind of leading diagonal, which is also a possible scenario, which a leading diagonal is a five-wave structure that has overlap, okay? It's full of a mixture of impulsive structures and corrective structures. These are a little bit harder to spot, but essentially you end up with these kind of areas that look like this. And if we do have a five-wave structure here, and then we start to see a three-wave structured move upwards, then essentially we'll be looking for another move to the downside at a slightly later stage. Ultimately, we could be looking at an ending diagonal or something to that effect, but it's yet to be really clear to be, you know, really confident behind that. But I am estimating that we're going to come down and revisit an area of support. So once we lose 40.19, which I do think is a bit of a given, we should probably be expecting that, then 28 to 34 cent is going to be the next area of support in my opinion. Now if I bring this up to a 4-hour chart, just bring this down, we can see that over here this was an area of consolidation from before, where we basically found a good area of resistance at the top and a good area of support at the bottom. So 28 to 34 cent is a nice key area for us. There's no guarantee because there are a couple of additional areas just above this, and of course our 1-to-1 ratio on our macro movement to the downside, this big WXY is talking about 22.3 cent. Okay, and of course this is a bigger macro movement all the way from the upper side here as an A wave, A, B, and C, taking us down towards that 22.23 cent. So essentially we have a lot of reason to think that this is going to be our low point, of which, if we actually take into consideration a 5-wave move that we had in 2021, with this V wave potential move coming down in 2022, if I bring this up to our daily, we could be enjoying another 5-wave move upwards, completing a zigzag pattern. So if I just move that out of the way for a second, what we have is a 5-wave structured move up. Okay, we know this is a trend upwards. This is then met by a corrective 3-wave structure, and then we end up with another 5-wave structure upwards. Now, all of that there is considered an ABC at a macro level, and it's called a zigzag pattern commonly. Okay, it's a 5-3-5. So when we take a look at Cardano on our daily chart, and we know that we'll be heading down towards the bottom end of our 3-wave structure, we'll be estimating another 5-wave structure to the upside. Now, we can speculate on where this might end, okay? I think for major resistance to be found, we're probably going to find that people are going to resonate incredibly well with a 0.618 and a 0.786. Basically $5 to 46 or $13 right up here. So basically $5.46 to about $13. That's going to be an area I think that is going to be a major challenge for the price action of Cardano's ADA as we go into the next cycle upwards. However, if we're able to push past and close preferably a weekly candle above the 786, that could potentially put us on the cusp of a $39 Cardano. So there is a significant upward swing here for Cardano's ADA, but it is really reliant on seeing what happens next. If we just move up towards that kind of $5.46, we're talking about a 10x from the current position. It's not all that bad. If we were to move up to the slightly higher area, we're talking about a 26x, and if by some miracle we do actually push up significantly higher, we are talking about 8,179% in gains. So there's a lot of room to the upside here with a limited amount to the downside. I still think we have a possible scenario where we lose an additional 50% from the current price, but you know, I think that we're getting very, very close to the bottom of this corrective structure from an Elliott wave theory point of view. Once the price comes down towards this kind of low range of 28 to 22 cent, this market is going to feel so undervalued that there's only really one direction left to go. Now, when it comes to price movement, we know that it really only matters about price movement, only really cares about, sorry, if I can get my words out, the supply and the demand. Okay, it's nothing to do with market cap. That's completely ridiculous. That's just macro price levels. Basically, what you need to do is you need to see a squeeze on the supply. Now, we already are really heavily decentralized. A lot of people are delegating and staking. That's fantastic. However, we do have to understand that there is no lockup period and you could just move your ADA instantaneously and liquidate it. So what we want to do is we want to see exchanges get squeezed of supply. Okay, so delegating away from exchanges is fantastic. It's a fantastic way of seeing a squeeze on that supply. Then we just need to increase the demand, which will come through many different reasons, right? We'll see dApps getting built on the ecosystem. That's going to see a demand for ADA in order to utilize those protocols, those dApps. And then of course what you're going to do is you're going to see, you know, the price action. You're going to see people speculating on price as it starts to surge up. People love to buy green candles for some reason, and when this starts to turn green in a really big way, I would be very surprised to see you know, an insignificant amount of volume. I think we're going to see a huge demand for Cardano. So you couple those two things together, a squeeze on that supply and an increase in demand, and the price action here for Cardano, in my opinion, is going to absolutely skyrocket. So all eyes are really on finishing this corrective structure to the downside. They're on the scalability with this new upgrade when that launches, what that means for Cardano. And then of course, you know, once we actually start to see this next structure to the upside, which I'm expecting a big macro 5-wave move, inside each of these would be a 5-wave structure on a smaller time frame, and inside each of those would be a 5-wave structure and so forth. So we're looking pretty promising so far for Cardano. Good accumulation zones. I think a bit more to come in the future, and then really we're off to the races, and I think we're going to see some really significant gains in the next run for Cardano's ADA. So guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.